How's that for an audio test? So what's going on, YouTube? It's been a while since I made a studio update video, so this is going to be mostly a talking head going through a couple different things that I've been up to inside my space since I got here in August. So if you're new around here, my name is Nick Shaw. I work in cybersecurity, but I make videos on my travels, adventures, and just messing around with tech. So if you've been here before, this is going to be a little bit different video than my typical vlogs. Those will be back soon. And this is more of just a solo update, kind of like a solo podcast, if you will, just with video form. Just going over a couple different things, the mindset perspective behind things I've been up to. You also might be going, hey Nick, why aren't you centering in the frame? That's why. So let's get right to it. First thing, last week I released a video on the logo update for Midnight Slate. So Midnight Slate Labs is the name of my company officially for the space. This is supposed to be a remote office for myself for my day job, also a creative space. So if you haven't checked out that video yet, there's a link below where you can see the unveiling of this logo. So this was a little test engraving we did with a laser before we did the actual one for the door. So why the logo change? About 2 years ago when I first started the LLC, my buddy Kyle designed an original logo. And later on we found out that logo was very similar to an existing business. If you're from the Rochester area, you've probably heard of the Corning Museum of Glass. My logo was pretty much a 180-degree swap of that logo. And the idea behind the original logo was, really centered around the name and what I was doing at the time, which was mostly drone services. The original logo was essentially a clock with the arm pointing at midnight for Midnight Slate. Makes sense, right? And also it looked like a rotor on a drone. So that was the original concept and mindset behind the original logo. So now 2 years later, I decided to redo the logo and update it for some of the more general stuff that I'm working on from a consulting perspective, technology, creative, all those types of things. I do have stickers available of the new logo. If you want one, shoot me an email. I'd be happy to send you one. All right, next up is studio update and the build out. So clearly you see there's a difference here from the last video I released where I was still putting together bookshelves, still assembling the sofa. There wasn't much in here at that point. So now I've got a couple different sets, if you will, between the one I'm sitting at now, the sofa behind me, working over at my desk. So there's options for shooting in here. And we've got a couple videos planned that we're gonna be shooting. There's been some change, which has been good. And I told myself when I first started this, I wasn't gonna go trying to do everything outright first from the start. I was gonna iterate over time, try different things, see what worked, see what didn't. So we're at the point where we can actually start utilizing the space for some more community efforts, where I want to get together a collective. We want to get together on a weekly basis, run the ideas by each other, get feedback, and be able to help one another with our different creative projects. So now that this is built out a little bit, we're able to do that. So that'll be starting up sometime probably early 2020 once I structure it a little bit better. But yeah, studio's coming together. We got a nice table in here that my buddy Tom made. So he makes dining tables and other furniture. If you're in the Rochester area and you're looking for a nice wooden table or some other piece of furniture, let me know and I can get you in contact with him. Thanks, Tom. So one of the things when you're building out a space like this is really the infrastructure behind it that supports it. So things like backup, different servers, the network itself. If you're in IT, you understand most of these things, but if you're new to starting a business and you want to get into the creative field, you should have some good backup strategy put in place and the infrastructure to support that. If you want me to make a video going through how I set all that up for backing up all my external drives, backing up stuff to the cloud, and how I really do data management, let me know in the comments below and I'll put that video together. But there's a couple different things I've set up behind the scenes for services for accessing stuff when I'm traveling. How do I do that securely? All those different kinds of things. Some of the other stuff is overkill, but that's just because I like to tinker. But it's all fun, at least for me. So one of the other things I've been doing out of this space, and a couple of these videos have really gotten me these opportunities where it's been rekindling with some old friends that are starting businesses, and I've been doing some consulting where I'm helping people set up their infrastructure around their business. So for example, I was helping out a friend set up his emails for his company, his different mailing lists, all those different things that, when you're starting a business, there's things that need to be put in place to be able to support the business on the back end. some automation to make things easier for yourself, so you're able to take advantage of the resources you have. So some of the consulting efforts I've been helping out with are with companies that are getting started. They want to put some things in place, and my knowledge from doing websites, apps, and various other things has been useful to these organizations because they don't know what they're doing with them. So I'm able to offer services in a consultative nature to either guide, review, help them design, develop, all these different things. So that's been a good opportunity just by making these videos with the studio update. People have been like, oh yeah, Nick does that. And then they'll reach out to me and we'll get connected and figure out how I can help them in some way. So the next iteration of that will be kind of creative services where, as I build out the collective and build out the creative community, it'll be easier to refer people that do social media, video, photo, or audio to other people within those service platforms. So as I said in the intro, I work in cybersecurity for my day job. So I don't make videos full time. I don't do photography full time. My day job is working from home and traveling for industrial cybersecurity. One of the cool things that happened over the last week was this interview I did back in July, June timeframe finally got published. So I get featured on our company blog as, a cybersecurity expert. So I've been doing a lot of different speaking presentations and going to events and presenting thought leadership type things over the past year when I switched jobs in January. So this was like the first thing that was written that was published. I had a couple white papers that I've been working on that just came out as well. So that was kind of a big thing to start getting my name out there in the industrial cybersecurity space. So that's pretty cool. If you want to check out that interview, there's a link below. I'd love if you checked it out, even if you're not into cybersecurity. But if you're into industrial cybersecurity, give me a call. Let's figure out how we can help you. And yes, the next one, which is back to actually creating things. So I got my first manual focus lens for my Fuji camera. This little guy is well known within the Fuji community. It is an f/0.95. So it is the Mitacon 0.95 lens. And the aperture is huge. As you can see, as it closes down, this guy lets a lot of light through. So the interesting thing about this, again, like I said, it's all manual. So it doesn't have any electronics that connect to the camera. So I've been used to autofocus lenses. Some of my first cameras were a Sony a5000, the Canon 80D, a G7X Mark II. Those all have autofocus. I've had autofocus lenses, even on this camera, obviously with the Fujifilm. I've had autofocus. So this is the first manual focus lens, which is gonna change up a couple things for me, where I'm gonna have to think about what I'm shooting. Sometimes when you have a zoom lens, you overthink, should I be using this focal length over another one? There's a lot more kind of questioning of how you should do stuff. So this really simplifies things. It's a prime lens, 35mm, again, f/0.95, yes. So this will be interesting to shoot with. I'm gonna shoot some video and photos. I know some people have been asking me for different samples. They're curious of what this looks like. So I will be doing that sometime soon. I'm gonna be playing with my 56mm f1.2 Fuji lens because I think these two would be very good for portraits and a good combination to get two different looks. So this will be very interesting for me to play with and really learn about manual focus photography. So I know Fuji has a bunch of different capabilities from focus peaking that help you with that. But again, when I started doing this several years ago, started with a drone, got some cameras, and I've been self-teaching myself as I go. So this is just another one of those things to teach myself on the journey to creating. So that really leads me to two final topics, and the next one is really about a series I'm thinking about doing, which is photography in Rochester. I know several of you that are subscribed are from Rochester, but I think there's a couple different perspectives that could be shared for those that aren't in Rochester. So I'm looking at doing a couple different photography series where we do photo walks, and then I'm gonna do some behind the scenes with a GoPro. There's this one YouTuber, Evan Ramft, that does a fantastic job really going through his thought process perspective of when he's framing up shots, when he's looking at things to shoot. He shares the bad photos he takes, the good photos he takes, that whole kind of perspective behind that, and then all of his editing workflow. So I'm thinking about doing something like that for Rochester. I think that would be kind of cool. If you've got some feedback or some ideas on that, leave them in the comments below. I'll check them out. And there's the last thing. So I've been on this Discord community called the Content Creator Collective. That's been a whole group of people that make videos, photos, but this is a great community that we've been able to bounce ideas off one another, whether it's video, photos, just sharing, podcasts, sharing other creative content with one another to get different ideas of stuff to make. So I just wanted to shout out to Felix. He makes this awesome brand called Roscoe. He does fantastic illustrations, drawings, and I picked up a shirt from him. So that's this shirt that I'm wearing today. He did not send it to me for free for the shout out. I just wanted to be able to plug him. I will link his shop below if you want to check out some of his art. And I think that's it for the updates for now. I'm gonna make a couple other videos. I've got a few in the pipeline. If you like Scotch, you might wanna stick around and subscribe to the channel. I've got an interesting one coming up within the next week. There's also some computer builds that I'm working on with my friend Mike, where we are putting together a Midnight Slate themed gaming / editing PC. So that is going to be an AMD Ryzen build that we're gonna go through on the channel of the whole component selection. We think we're gonna do some tech videos like that to make some various builds at different price points that you might be interested in if you're in the market for building your own PC. So I think that's all for now. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe, like this video, share it with your friends, and I appreciate all of you that check in to view my videos, and I'll see you in the next one.